What if the greatest investing manual ever written was sitting on your bookshelf this whole time? Not a Graham or Buffett book, not a Twitter thread from some crypto influencer with a Lambo in his profile picture, not a TikTok finance guru telling you which coin is gonna moon next week. I'm talking about the Bible. Now, before you click off, hear me out, because whether you're a believer or not, the financial wisdom packed inside that book has outlived every market crash, every economic collapse, and every "this time it's different" moment in human history. And today, we're gonna break it all down, specifically for Gen Z, the generation that grew up with trading apps on their phones, crypto Twitter in their feeds, and more investing options than any generation before them, yet somehow still making the same costly mistakes. We're diving into 4 biblical pillars of investing that will protect your money, grow your wealth, and keep you grounded when the markets go crazy. Let's get into it. Pillar 1, the pillar of wisdom. Know what you're buying. Proverbs 4, verse 7 says, "The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight." Here's the hard truth about Gen Z investing culture. Too many people are buying things they cannot explain. You bought that coin because someone on TikTok said it would 10x. You bought that stock because it was trending on Reddit. You followed the crowd, and the crowd walked you right off a financial cliff. This is called FOMO investing, fear of missing out, and it is one of the most expensive emotional decisions you will ever make in the markets. You buy at the peak, you panic at the dip, and you sell at the bottom, every single time. And the influencers, the person hyping that token in your feed with the Rolex on their wrist, they got paid to tell you that. They are not your financial advisor. They are a paid advertisement wearing a hoodie. Proverbs 14, verse 15 says, "The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps." Before you invest a single dollar, ask yourself 3 questions. What does this company actually do? What problem does this crypto actually solve? And if it disappeared tomorrow, would anyone notice? If you can't answer those questions, you don't have an investment, you have a lottery ticket. Solomon was considered the wealthiest man who ever lived, and his secret wasn't luck, it wasn't a hot stock tip, it was wisdom, intentional, disciplined, studied wisdom. He sought understanding before he acted. That's your first pillar. Know before you go. Pillar 2, the pillar of stewardship. Manage what you've been given. Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30, the parable of the talents. This is arguably the most powerful investing parable in all of Scripture, and most people read it as just a spiritual metaphor. But look closer. A master gives 3 servants money, talents, before going on a long journey. One receives 5, one receives 2, and one receives 1. When the master returns, the first 2 servants had invested, grown the money, and doubled it. The third buried it in the ground out of fear. The master praised the investors. He rebuked the barrier. God, through this parable, is literally endorsing the act of growing wealth through wise investment. He is not glorifying poverty. He is not rewarding passivity. He is rewarding faithful stewardship. But here's what stewardship also means. It means you don't gamble with what you've been entrusted with. Too many Gen Z investors are using rent money, emergency funds, even credit cards to buy volatile assets. That is not investing. That's desperation wearing a trading account. Stewardship means you only invest what you can afford to lose in high-risk assets, and you protect the rest with wisdom and structure. Proverbs 21, verse 5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." The get-rich-quick mentality is a trap. Social media made it look like everyone is getting rich overnight, but for every overnight millionaire story you saw, there are 10,000 untold stories of people who lost everything chasing the same dream. Start early. Start small if you have to. Build consistently. Use dollar-cost averaging. Set risk limits. Have an exit strategy. That is stewardship. And if you haven't started yet because you're overwhelmed, start today. even with $20, because compound interest is the closest thing to a financial miracle that mathematics has ever produced, and time is the only ingredient you cannot buy back. Steward what you have, grow it faithfully. Don't bury it, don't burn it. Pillar 3, the pillar of discipline. Master your emotions and your security. Proverbs 25, verse 28, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." This verse was written thousands of years ago, and it perfectly describes what happens to an undisciplined investor during a market crash. The walls come down and everything inside gets ransacked. Emotional trading is the silent wealth killer for Gen Z. The market dips 20% and you panic sell. Then it recovers and you buy back in higher than where you sold. You've now lost twice, on the way down and on the way back up. This cycle repeats until your account is drained and your confidence is destroyed. Discipline means you make your decisions before the emotion hits. You set your entry point. You set your stop loss. You decide in advance what percentage of a loss triggers an exit, and you stick to it. Not because you're a robot, but because you made a commitment to your future self when your mind was clear. And discipline also means you understand the difference between trading and investing. Trading is a profession. It requires years of experience, advanced technical knowledge, and emotional strength that most people, including seasoned professionals, never fully develop. Investing is a long game. It's boring, it's patient, and it almost always wins. Now, let's talk about something nobody warns Gen Z about: taxes and security. Every crypto trade you make is a taxable event. The authorities do not care that you didn't know. Ignoring this is not boldness, it's financial negligence. Track your trades, consult a tax professional, stay above board, and protect your accounts like your financial life depends on it, because it does. Use two-factor authentication, create strong passwords, use hardware wallets for large crypto holdings, never store your seed phrase digitally, never click a link from a random direct message. Romans 13 verse 7 says, "Give to everyone what you owe them." That includes the government. Pay your taxes, stay disciplined, guard what God has helped you build. Discipline is not restriction, it is protection. Pillar 4, the pillar of discernment. Protect yourself from deception. We live in the golden age of financial deception. Rug pulls, pump and dump schemes, fake influencer endorsements, phishing wallets, messages from so-called crypto managers promising 300% monthly returns. It has never been easier to lose everything to a well-designed lie. 1 Peter 5 verse 8, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." Now, I'm not saying every failed crypto project is a spiritual attack, but I am saying that the spirit of deception is very much alive in financial markets, and Gen Z, with its digital trust and social openness, is the most targeted demographic on the planet. Discernment is your armor. It means you pause before you act. It means you verify before you trust. It means that when something sounds too good to be true, especially in crypto, it almost always is. Proverbs 27 verse 12 says, "The prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it." Do your own research, cross-reference everything. Look for red flags, anonymous development teams, unrealistic return promises, artificial urgency, and celebrity endorsements with no real track record. These are not opportunities, these are traps dressed up as opportunities. The wisest investors in the world are not the most aggressive, they are the most discerning. They know what to say yes to, but more importantly, they know what to say no to. Discernment is not doubt, it is wisdom in action. So let's bring it home. 4 pillars: wisdom, stewardship, discipline, discernment. These are not just spiritual concepts. They are practical, battle-tested financial principles that have outlived every market cycle, every economic collapse, and every generation that came before yours. Gen Z has more tools, more access, and more opportunity than any investing generation in history. But tools without principles are just weapons pointed at yourself. The Bible doesn't promise you'll get rich, but it absolutely gives you the framework to build wealth that lasts, wealth that is ethical, intentional, and aligned with something bigger than a portfolio balance. So the question isn't whether stocks or crypto are right for you. The question is, are you ready to invest with wisdom? If this video helped you, share it with someone in your circle who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below telling me which pillar hit you the hardest. And if you want more biblical money principles, hit subscribe because we are just getting started. God bless your portfolio and your purpose.